Is vitamin C really a vitamin? Most people think vitamin C is just another simple vitamin, something you get from eating oranges, right? But what if I were to tell you vitamin C isn't really even a vitamin at all? And I'm just comparing it to other vitamins, which are focused more on maintenance. Vitamin C is actually a stress survival molecule. It's very different than other vitamins. And I want to go into that today because it's so interesting. It's also very important. It really has everything to do with survival and emergency. So you can think about vitamin C as acting more like a fire extinguisher. Your body uses vitamin C when you're under stress, like if you have an infection, if you have inflammation, if you have an injury, emotional stress, physical stress, like exercise stress. Also, when you have low oxygen, you require more vitamin C. And if you have high blood sugar or consume high carbs, vitamin C is not going to work in your body. I'm going to get into that too. Animals have the ability to make vitamin C, and they require a tremendous amount of vitamin C when they're stressed. But humans don't make vitamin C. Humans lost their ability to make vitamin C. And I'm going to explain a theory that I have on why that is in a little bit. But we are completely dependent on getting vitamin C from our food. So I did a test on vitamin C, and I actually was very, very deficient. And I was shocked that I was deficient because I consume a lot of foods with vitamin C. In fact, I consume a lot of sauerkraut. And then in my test, it showed that I was very deficient. And I'm like, well, how can this be? One thing I was doing at that time is I was exercising like crazy. I was overtraining, creating more stress in my body and just sucking up all this vitamin C from my diet, creating a deficiency. So vitamin C deficiency doesn't just come from your foods. It can come from stress, like overexercise. And here's something else that people don't realize. 90% of the vitamin C used in supplements is completely synthetic. It's called industrial vitamin C. It's made from corn sugar in factories, mostly overseas. And I won't tell the country that most of it comes from, China, but it's super cheap. You can buy 2,000 pounds of synthetic vitamin C for under $3,000. Now, what would that actually come out to per bottle of synthetic vitamin C? Well, it comes out to only 30 cents a bottle. So when you see a bottle of vitamin C at the store for like $5 or $10, realize it's purely synthetic and they're making a huge markup. Even though it's cheap, you are getting a synthesized industrial version of vitamin C. In nature, vitamin C comes as a complex with many different parts. It doesn't just come as an ascorbic acid antioxidant. And if you're going to get vitamin C, read the labels, make sure it just doesn't have ascorbic acid, make sure it comes from actual food complexes, okay? Not just one individual synthetic chemical. The other interesting thing about vitamin C is the chemistry of vitamin C. It's shaped very similar to sugar. In fact, vitamin C uses the same doors to get in your cells as sugar does. This means if you're eating sugar or have high blood sugar, as in diabetes, that sugar or glucose is going to compete for vitamin C, and it's going to win over the vitamin C. So you're not going to be able to absorb vitamin C. This is why a lot of diabetics or people that consume a lot of carbohydrates are nearly always deficient of vitamin C. Now, I want to also explain why people are fatigued if they're deficient of vitamin C. It's because vitamin C supports the mitochondria, the energy factory of the cells, helping handle stress, helping recycle other antioxidants, helping you absorb iron so you can get more oxygen in your blood. There's some fascinating things about vitamin C and oxygen, which I'm going to get into very soon. But when your vitamin C is low, your energy factories do not burn fuel very efficiently. And this is why someone's tired, weak, foggy, they can't recover, and they have low endurance. In fact, let's talk about the oxygen connection right now. And this is something that most people probably have never heard about vitamin C. Vitamin C helps your cells respond properly to oxygen. Your cells have this little oxygen alarm system that activates when you're low in oxygen. And when your cells are low in oxygen, there's a sensor that tells the body to make more vitamin C. When you're low in vitamin C, your cells will be suffocating because they're not going to have enough oxygen. Realize also, when I talk about lack of oxygen, I'm also talking about inflammation, because anywhere in your body that you have inflammation, you will also have low oxygen. And in states of inflammation and low oxygen, you're going to have stress in that tissue. People that don't have enough oxygen when they're exercising will not have endurance. Also, relating to scurvy, people think that scurvy is bleeding gums and loose teeth. But scurvy is the end stage of a severe vitamin C deficiency. The real problem in modern day is something called a subclinical scurvy, which is not a full-blown end stage, but it's definitely a deficiency of vitamin C. And what would that look like? That looks more like slow healing. You bruise easily. You have frequent infections, chronic fatigue, chronic inflammation. So you don't actually have to have bleeding gums or loose teeth to have scurvy. But I will say this. Sometimes I'll see people with like really red gums. Their gums bleed easily when they brush their teeth. That is a major vitamin C deficiency. So if you see that, just tell the person they need to up their vitamin C. Now, where do people get vitamin C? Oranges are not the highest source. There's many other foods that have much higher amounts of vitamin C than oranges, like bell peppers, papaya, and sauerkraut. It has to be raw, okay, not pasteurized. So you're usually going to get it in the refrigerated section. But before I get in too deeply, I want to come back to that orange juice. Realize that heat and oxygen exposure lower the vitamin C. So as in pasteurized orange juice, which is most orange juice. So when you're buying this orange juice from the grocery store and thinking you're getting any vitamin C, you might want to think twice. And so if they claim that it's a good source of vitamin C, just look in the back of the label and you're usually going to see they're going to add vitamin C. But really, are they adding vitamin C or are they just adding some industrial ascorbic acid and making you think that it's legitimate vitamin C? Okay, let's get back to the sauerkraut, okay? Fermented vegetables, especially sauerkraut, are loaded with vitamin C. Kimchi also has a lot of vitamin C. Your bacteria don't make vitamin C, but they protect it. They help stabilize the vitamin C. And so the reason why there's so much vitamin C is it concentrates the vitamin C. So when you consume it, it's a very good bioavailable source of vitamin C. And if you think about our modern environment, right, we have high sugar, high stress, high amounts of inflammation, low amounts of real vitamin C in our diet. All of this equals lower amounts of vitamin C. So a couple recommendations for vitamin C. Number one, make sure you get it from your diet. I would consume more fermented vegetables like sauerkraut, at least half a cup each day. That would actually give you tremendous vitamin C. Bell peppers are another great way to get vitamin C. But more importantly, cut out the things that block vitamin C, like the added stress, the sugar. Go on a low-carb diet. Super important. And the more stress you go through and the more exercise you do, the more vitamin C you should consume to compensate for that. Vitamin C is a fascinating molecule. And if you have not seen my other video on vitamin C, where I talk about all the different parts of a vitamin C complex, super fascinating. I put that video right up here to check it out right now.